Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room live stream with myself, Spencer, and Hassan. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this Friday evening or afternoon, wherever you might find yourself to be. A lot of stuff to get into today, including some details that have been revealed about Virgil Van Dijk's contract, possibly through TEAMtalk. The player and manager of the month have been announced, and we feel, well, I feel anyway, that our guys were snubbed. Endo has made some comments on his future and his minutes with ourselves, and obviously Real Madrid are deploying Jude Bellingham in an attempt to get Trent Alexander Arnold to sign for them on a free next season and become an absolute Judas. But before we get into anything like that, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure that your notifications are on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. If you're currently watching on X at the moment, make sure to jump over to our YouTube page through the link in the bio on our profile, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and make sure you have a look at all of the content that we have there, guys. It's very much appreciated. But without further ado, we will get into some of the topics, and we'll start off with the biggest one of the lot, which is TEAMtalk have stated that Arne Slot has made it clear that he wants an arrangement with, or an agreement, should I say, with Virgil van Dijk to be reached as soon as possible. It's expected that TEAMtalk sources have mentioned that the new contract will take Virgil van Dijk to £300,000 per week, a significant increase on what he's currently on, which is £220,000 a week. Hassan, I'll throw it over to yourself first on this. Is that somewhat of the same deal you kind of expected? And what do you think the years will be on that deal?
Yeah, I think it will be fair for him because he's the captain of the club and he's been here a long time, and he's coming to the end of his playing time because of the age. He's not showing it through his performances. He's been outstanding this season. I think 300 will be fair because he can easily go to any Saudi club or somewhere where he can make that amount of money. So it will be good for the club to show the appreciation for him. And I think maximum it will be three, and I think it will be 2 years.
Yeah, I think it'll be probably a 2+1 and sort of reevaluate after a while. Spencer, similar question to yourself. Bump of 80 grand a week, up to 300,000, just a little bit shy of Mo Salah, who's on £350,000 at the moment. Is that somewhere in the region of where you expected him to be? And do you see it being a long deal? Because I think he can play at a high level for at least another 3 or 4 seasons myself. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I think probably in the range of Mo Salah is probably what's fair. So even being below that is, I mean, I don't want to say it's a good deal, but it feels like it's still a good price to be paying him. The way that he plays, like being dominant in the air, and he's not like super active defensively. Like he's not a high volume defender. He's a great passer. Those are the kind of qualities that would age well. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think he could probably keep it up at a high level for 2, 3, 4 more years. I don't think we're facing an age cliff yet. So I'd expect that's how long the contract will be as well.
Yeah, I don't think that we're facing any sort of a cliff yet with him, barring injuries, of course. But the way that I see it is Van Dijk, he doesn't rely on pace. He relies on strength, which doesn't really fade with age that much. You'd lose pace before you'd lose strength. And it's more his brain that really helps him defend more than anything else, than any other sort of physical attribute. He's able to see the game in a much different way, and it's his communication on the pitch that sees it in a much different way. Where if you take a look at the Crystal Palace game, he was really helping Ryan Gravenberch display an awful lot of the skills that we already seen him display week in, week out, and just his communication across that back line is absolutely fantastic. And as a captain too, it is one of them that it's one of them intangibles that you can't really put a price on personally. But speaking of Ryan Gravenberch, he realistically has probably been snubbed in relation to the player of the month, and obviously Arne Slot, in my opinion, in regard to the coach of the month. Spencer, how do you feel about seeing Enzo Maresca and Cole Palmer getting their player and coach of the month awards over the likes of a Luis Diaz or an Arne Slot or even a Ryan Gravenberch? Is this just purely a flavor of the month issue, or is this just, were they actually more deserving in your opinion?
I think I see the Maresca one a bit more. Chelsea did have more points than Liverpool on the month. So I don't agree with it, but I do understand that one a bit more. The Cole Palmer one, I think it's kind of an optics thing. There's just no way that, I mean, if he scored a goal in each of the 4 games rather than 4 all in one, like the highlight game of the season so far, if it had done that, then I think he probably doesn't win Player of the Month, and it probably goes to Gravenberch. But the fact that he had it in such like I believe it was I don't remember if it was a standalone game or if it was like a 10 a.m. game here. I'm in the U.S., so they're 10 a.m. for me. But there were so many eyes on that game, and it got so much attention. I don't know how they could have named anybody else the Player of the Month just because it was so flashy, but that doesn't mean it's right. I feel like they were kind of boxed into doing it because of that performance.
Yeah, I feel so as well, because if you take a look at Ryan Gravenberch and just his performances since the start of the season, he's just racking up man of player of the match, player of the match, player of the match every time. And Hassan, even forgotten in that sort of maelstrom, is Luis Diaz, who's been just lights out on form, scoring goals, getting assists. It was really sort of a hard toss-up as a Liverpool fan having to vote. Who would you have voted in for Liverpool's Player of the Month? Would it have been Luis Diaz or would it have been Ryan Gravenberch?
Yeah, for me, it should have been Ryan, but as we know, these awards are just popularity thing, goals and assists. Everybody are focused on those things and forego and left out how important a player is to a team because he has been inspirational and transformative to our team because we were all worried on that position. If he didn't perform so well on there, we would have been in trouble. So I think for us, and Diaz is a player I think is underrated by all, not just from all other club fans, but ours also. It was crazy that people were so uh, up to the idea that Gordon should replace Diaz. And there were so many discussion even in our group, and people were so happy that and they were like, okay, we can get rid of Diaz, and now he's showing that still I think he's underrated and underappreciated here as well.
Yeah, he's massively underappreciated. And I looked at it last season purely because everybody was just screaming Anthony Gordon's name. And I tried to put water on that fire and quell that want for him, so to speak, purely because, like, all of the goals that Anthony Gordon scored last season are exactly the same goals as what Luis Diaz scores. Three of Anthony Gordon's 11 goals, and he got like 22 goal contributions. Fair enough, he got assists or whatnot, but I think 3 of his goals in the Premier League were, and he's on penalties too, so that's obviously going to inflate the numbers straight away. And 3 of his goals came from situations that probably will never be repeated again. First, one of them was the Trent mistake in the Newcastle game that we won 2-1. Another one was where Bruno Guimaraes literally just threw Gabriel into his own net and Gordon got the rebound. And then there was another one that was just a spill by the keeper. There's 3 goals straight away and then take away his penalties as well. And he's also almost on par for what Luis Diaz did last season. And the goals that he did score from open play was starting out on the right or on the left, cutting into his right and shooting across the box, which is what Luis Diaz does anyway. I seen the appeal of it from some people stating that, look, he's younger, he's homegrown and whatnot. And I'm kind of like, yeah, but he's only had one even decent season. And that's because he was only ever in one competition. He wasn't playing in 4 different competitions. Spencer, you obviously weren't with us at that time during the summer when we were going back and forth over Anthony Gordon and it got quite heated in the group chat. So how, given hindsight being 2020 and how Gordon and Diaz have performed to begin this season, Liverpool were very close to getting Anthony Gordon. Do you think it was maybe a blessing in disguise that we didn't end up getting him?
I mean, I think probably, yeah. What kind of trips me up about it is I kind of wonder how serious the links between Luis Diaz and Barcelona were, because I feel like there's just doesn't make sense to have both Gordon and Luis Diaz on the same team. Like you said, like we could sit here and spend the next 15 minutes pointing out all the similarities in their game. Luis Diaz is just better at it. I never really took it all that seriously. But yeah, it's to me it comes down to for at least Luis Diaz, and I think maybe why people wanted to see Anthony Gordon come in. It was that Luis Diaz injury. I think that probably had a longer recovery time than most people gave it credit to have. And later last season, he really started to show his former self, and he's carried that into this season. So, yeah, with hindsight being 2020, very obviously glad that we kept Luis Diaz and didn't move on from him.
And not alone that, Hassan, also Cody Gakpo is pushing Luis Diaz for that starting spot. And people were saying, we know who. He's not on the stream with us at the moment, but we know who. Spencer, if you're not familiar, it's Carter is who we're referring to in the group chat. You'll get used to him. I say you'll get used to him. You won't get used to him. And do you want to know what's the most annoying thing? Carter is an absolutely lovely guy, but he just has batshit crazy football takes, and you're just sat there like pulling your hair out of your head. You can't get mad at him because he's such a lovely guy.
He's so never like this on stream. He's never.
No, he's never like it on stream. He's so calm, collected on stream, and then in the group chat, turns out it says Yuri Tielemans could replace Tony Kroos, and we're all stood there like, what the fuck are you talking about? But Hassan, certain people, we won't name names, obviously have said that they would like to offload the likes of Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz, both of which have seemed to enter this season with a fire lit under them. Cody Gakpo has obviously got his gaggle of assists and goal so far. He's been very, very dangerous from that left wing position, his natural position. He seems so much more comfortable with it. And Luis Diaz just lit the season alight in the first couple of games of the season with five or six goals and a couple of assists. Did you foresee them hitting these levels and being this good in this system, or is it above your expectations even? Because it's a little bit above mine, I won't lie. Like, everybody's gripe with Luis Diaz last season was basically he needs to be able to finish more, and he underperformed his XG last season, and now he's overperforming it this season. So you're wondering where kind of maybe the average and falling back to the mean is.
Yeah, to be honest, he has exceeded the expectation. But I think last season he started off really well. The disallowed goal of Spurs comes to mind. He was performing well, but after the injury, as Spencer has said, that recovery time took a long, and people forget all the past and focus on the present. So I think we didn't. For me, I didn't see so much of Copa America last summer, but I watched the Euros, and Capco was one of the player of the tournament. He was the highest scorer, and so I was really excited for him coming to this season. And with Slot coming in, I knew that he will play to his natural position. Because last season he was a utility player. He played in the midfield. He was second striker. He was the striker. He started some games on the left, some right. So I think for player to perform, they should be in their natural position. And I think with competition, everybody is playing so well. Konate used to be the main guy, but last season when Konsa came in, this season he said that no, you can't take my place. So it's good that there is a competition all over the pitch, in the midfield, up front, and in defense. So these factors, I think the most is the competition for places.
Yeah, it's iron sharpens iron, Spencer, realistically. And if you have it's a fantastic problem that we have on the left wing currently at the moment with two players that could realistically be starters in their own right, which gives Arne Slot a fantastic headache to have, and also a great problem to have in that if we play 3 games in the space of 7 days, he knows he can rotate and it's not that much of a drop in quality. If anything, there's no drop in quality. And you could also play one over the other depending on the opposition that you're facing, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we'll probably be seeing more as more games come into football. I mean, even over this international break, like they're playing so many games, these players, on a year-over-year basis. I think it's important to have depth at positions. So for Slot to have the ability to play either one or even combat injury, God forbid one gets hurt, I I think it's people still look at starting lineups and squads through the lens of like the starting 11 versus the reserves or the role players or the bench. I think that's transitioning to becoming more of it's sort of like a sliding scale of maybe 60% of the time it's Luis Diaz and 40% of the time it's Cody Gakpo rather than 90-10, like what people would traditionally think of it as. So I think I'd rather have this problem than the problem of not knowing who to start because we have no options.
Yeah, it's a fantastic problem to have, realistically. And speaking of more left wingers that are being introduced, just seeing here from Bild, which is one of the most reliable places in Germany to get news. Big Premier League teams, including Liverpool and Chelsea, have sent their scouts. Why Chelsea? I have a fucking notion of them. They have 12 left wingers and 10 right wingers. Have sent their scouts to monitor Jamie Bino-Gittens. The English star is quite popular with Premier League clubs, and this season currently he's played 9 games, 4 goals, 2 assists, and last season he's a right-footed left winger. Last season he had abysmal numbers, I won't lie. 34 games, 2 goals and 8 assists. So at least he's actually picked up his numbers this season. He's just under 6 foot tall, very 20-year-old winger, England. Technically speaking, I think he could be classified as homegrown. I don't know, but that could be something that comes in there. Has he ever been on? He was Man City under 18 for 2 games. No, he wouldn't be classed as homegrown, hilariously. But Spencer, seeing that we're still in the market for attacking talent, do you see us moving for anybody in January, possibly in regards to an attacker? Or do you feel that, as many others feel, we need to focus on maybe shoring up a bit more depth in midfield, maybe getting a centre back, maybe a left back? Where do you see any fruit bearing from another attacker being brought in January?
No, I don't. I would have to guess, or at least I'd hope that this is just like future squad planning for like the next several years, not something that's going to be done this window. You hit the 2 positions that I would say should be most prioritized in the winter if we're going to be going after something. Central midfield and then left back. I still think Andy Robertson cuts it at the top level, but unlike Virgil Van Dijk, I do see age catching up to his game quite a bit. And I don't think Tsimikas is the long-term answer for that. So his long-term replacement, and even honestly, even a short-term one, if Robertson misses time, I think that should be our number 1 priority. I'd assume Bino-Gittens is like a long-term thing. I don't want to, he's plays on the opposite wing of Salah. I don't know if he's capable of playing on the right wing, but I'd put this more as future squad planning rather than something that's going to happen soon. At least I hope.
Yeah, hopefully, because realistically at the moment, we're kind of future-proofed at left wing. Diaz is 27, going to be 28. Gakpo's just about ready to enter his prime. Diaz is currently supposed to be in his prime. So Hassan, another attacker, like Paul mentions here, as we've seen, and obviously Spencer's reiterated the point similar to myself, that left back needs to be shored up. Defensive midfielder needs to be shored up, not because the players there aren't performing, but Ryan Gravenberch and Alexi McAllister can't play 60 games a season. Similarly, Van Dijk can't play 60 games in a season. We need to give rest left, right, and centre. So is it another attacker that needs to be bought, or is it is this paper talk to maybe just try and get a move somewhere for Jamie Bino-Gittens? Or do you maybe even see us getting another attacker? I personally can't see one coming in unless one is leaving in January, which begs even a bigger question at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. I think we are spoiled with choices. We just added one Chiesa as well, who's here. We have so many choices. I don't think uh, in summer maybe if someone is going, but exactly like who is the question, who will be going. As Spencer said, the priority is it's not a priority, but I think because of so many games depth, I think one midfielder. I think with Slot, he trusts Simicas more than Klopp. I think he has put in him in the games he has started as well. So I think this maybe left back will be discussed in the summer, but in January, I think the only interesting thing is still Zubimendi because he has not been given a new deal. There are talks that all bridges are not burnt. Interestingly, now there's a vacancy at Man City as well, with him being Spanish and all. It will be interesting to see in January if he still have some hope. No, not for him, but maybe if we are still interested and we'll go for him because maybe if we sign him in the January, that's the last opportunity for us going for him. In the summer, I think we'll move on to another target. So
Yeah.
the only thing I'll see is Zubimendi in January.
I don't see Zubimendi in January personally. I think that ship has sailed. Very similar to Andre last summer, where we very immediately said, Andre, do you want to come? Do you want to play? And he said, no, I want to stay here and win Copa Libertadores. And we were like, cool, no problem. And went and we signed Grav and then all of a sudden, now Fluminense were sat there with their dick in their hand, being like, wait a minute. We now can't sell him and we're going to sell him for a third of the price. It's that kind of thing that happens. And I genuinely don't think Zubimendi gets a big move. I don't. The only way City would go for him, and I think he'd be hilariously stupid to go to City, considering the everything that's about to befall them. I think at least his agent is smart in that, and would probably say, "Don't go to City. Somebody else will come in." He might end up going to Barcelona. I can guarantee you, he'll end up going to somebody like Barcelona or Real Madrid, and he'll stay within Spain. Very hard to get Spanish and Italian players to leave Spain or Italy. And we obviously seen that with Nico Williams and all of the links regarding him throughout the summer. In unfortunate and breaking news, however, the problem was there was a specific thing that was being done by James Blunt. And if nobody's seen what this was, James Blunt came out and said that he's re-releasing his first album again. And if it got to number one, he would legally change his name, and it was all our choice what he would legally change his name to. And he said it would go to the most liked comment, and unfortunately it hasn't, because the most liked comment was James Blunt should have changed his name to Divock Origi. And I am so annoyed that he has not changed his name to Divock Origi.
What is it now?
I'm going to check and see actually which one it is. I want to see. Hold on. He's saying it here now. I'm looking at the video. I want to see. What is it? He changed it to Blunty McBluntface. And this is the kicker. Blunty McBluntface had 8.6 thousand likes. Divock Origi had 22,000 likes. And he even replied to it with the Divock Origi goal against Everton, where Jurgen Klopp is running out onto the pitch. I am fucking fuming. This is worse than Man City cheating. Genuinely, that's what Dean said in the group chat. This is worse than Man City cheating. Genuinely, that's absolutely broke my heart. It really has, and I hope I hope he's not allowed to do it, because that's genuinely brought the ire of a whole fan base onto him. But we're going to take a look just before we get into the next topic. Just make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on so that you never miss out on all future streams and videos as well. Apologies, Jesus, what's fucking around with me? Make sure that you never miss out on all future streams and videos because we got a lot of great content over there. One of my favorite ones that I've done recently is an interview with John Achtenberg, who is the former head goalkeeping coach for Liverpool. Very, very good interview. Very, very fun things. Says a lot of things in that interview that shocked me and Charlie, who's the other host of that interview. One of which being that he basically called Man City cheating bastards. He then also said that Kelleher was better than De Gea before Kelleher even started playing. And he also said, I'm trying to think of what else he said. He said the Ballon d'Or voters are idiots as well, because how Alisson has never been there for the Ashen Award is genuinely a crime. That and many, many more things about the sort of behind the veil of the goalkeeping room at Liverpool for many, many years, which he has left in a great shape, considering we currently have 3 number ones in a team right now. After Alisson's injury, we now have obviously Queevy and Kelleher that can come in and play as a number 1, and we have Vitor Jaros as well, who's a number 1 too. But that being said, we're going to jump on to one of the other topics, which is Wataru Endo's comments in relation to his minutes at the moment and how he feels about them. Earlier in the season, he said that he was going to fight for his place and he's going to stay here, and that was the kind of attitude that we love to hear. We love somebody who's just going to grit and grind and absolutely work their ass off for their position on the team, regardless of whether they get it or not. And recently he was asked a very similar question, and he said, I know the manager wanted to try various players because of the manager change, but winning all the titles requires everybody's strength and you have to rest players. Personally, I don't intend to leave, just get in shape and get ready. And as I mentioned on Twitter when I tweeted that, this is the type of player that wins you these trophies. This is the type of player that wins you trophies. The type of player that is willing to just say, look, I'm not getting minutes, but I'm going to put in my all. I'm going to work from Monday to Sunday, and I'm going to show up on game day, and you're going to get the same consistent result out of me. The first game that he played back, that he came back and he played where he was a starter, I believe it was against West Ham in the EFL Cup. He hadn't played in 6 months? Hadn't played in first team football in 6 months. Immediately gets a start and looks better than other players that were in the squad prior to him. Hassan, those kind of comments from the guy that was probably one of our best midfielders last season, that has kind of been relegated to a bench player this season, does that encourage you as to his mentality, or do you think that possibly we need to move on from Endo and possibly bring in a younger replacement to take his place? Where are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I think when he got the move, he knew it that it's the best opportunity which has come to him at that age. I think he always been a really good player, but some players go under the radar. If he was not that good, he would not have been the captain of his country. He has been selected, and I think. When he was signed, he was not known so much to us, but the fans of Stuttgart were raving about him, and they were absolutely shattered that he was going. So it shows that he's the type of player that gives everything for the club, and fans love him. I think last season it was similar that we didn't get a DM. He was a third or fourth choice when he came in, and it was a surprise. But he performed really well last season, and that Man City game was absolutely astonishing, and it was so brilliant to see him destroying their midfield. So I think I love it that he is 100% committed, and I think he know that he can win really good trophies here, and he can end his career at a high. Because if now he gets a move, where would he go? He will go to some mid-table club or somewhere. So I think he's a really optimistic guy, and he knows that here he can achieve really good things.
Yeah, it's I don't see where he goes up from here personally, unless he's looking for money, and I don't think so. I think he wants to win a couple of trophies with Liverpool. And he said, Spencer, when he joined us, that his dream came true, that he joined a big club like Liverpool, that a very prestigious club like Liverpool. And Jurgen Klopp, when he was signed, said to him upon his arrival, like, we're going to need you this season. And there was multiple times throughout the season that we did need him, and he stepped up and performed. And without him, it probably would have been a bit of a worse season. So those comments that are made by him, do they instill confidence in you that he can still get the job done, or do you feel that possibly we may need to bring in somebody else to replace him and kind of phase him out as we go into next summer? Or do you think he can continue on for the rest of the season and further seasons?
I don't know if it says anything about like his ability to do the job that he's asked, but it definitely says a lot about his commitment to the project. I will say, at least from the money perspective, I'm pretty sure Liverpool like 4 or 5x his salary from Stuttgart. If he wasn't for the money, I'm not sure he's making money anywhere else. So it would make sense for him to back the project. But he doesn't strike me as that type of character. I think even though he's not the tallest guy, I'm pretty sure he won more aerial duels than any of our midfielders last year. The most clearances, second in tackles behind McAllister. Those are the types of like, dirty work that somebody needs to do in a midfield. The fact that he does it and he does it so well, it's just like the type of player, the things that he does on the pitch and his attitude off the pitch, that it's kind of like we call it here in the US a glue guy for the team. Just
like a Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I don't know if that's it's exactly right. It's spot on. Hopefully he's not that type of a character off the pitch.
I hope he is. That'd be brilliant. Can you imagine him landing in Carmen Electra's bed in Vegas? That'd be brilliant.
Oh my goodness. No, but he's you need that type of player on the team. He is that type of player. If he's into the project, I think there's absolutely space for him. Whether his role on the pitch gets diminished or kind of phased out over the next year or so, maybe that is what has to happen. But until that happens, the role that he plays on and especially off the pitch for the team, I think he's important to have.
Yeah, no, glue guy is probably the best way to describe it realistically. And you could name any number of players from any different sport that would be that kind of a guy. It's just there's always one of them or two of them on a team, and you need those guys on a team. First of all, they provide a calming presence when they come on the pitch, and you can see that he's sort of brought on as a closer an awful lot of times. We're up 2-0, we're up 1-0, and he just comes on and immediately starts winning duels, calms the midfield down, cuts off passing lanes, and immediately chokes them out of getting any sort of a late goal and making late drama happen. And similar to what Paul mentions here, like Jones, he's a great squad player, but he'd never be first 11 if everybody's fit. That's fine. You still need those players. And as much as I do harp on about Jones from time to time, and I do harp on about him, I just don't think he's going to improve past what he is at the moment. But if Jones is the player that he is, and he's happy to be a bench player playing for his boyhood club and come on and get 20 minutes here, half an hour here, playing cup games, playing rubber matches in the Europa League or Champions League, and maybe call and just play 30 minutes a game, and is happy to do that and come on and be a calming presence on the pitch, there's absolutely a role for him there. Rather than being a star player, if he's happy to sit in that role player position and that's his job and he's happy with it, I don't see why we should go out and try and buy somebody else when you have players like that on the team that are happy to do that job, because that is an extremely hard thing to find. It really, really, really is. We are going to jump on to the second to last topic, I hope. I think I have something else lined up as well. The second to last topic that we have here. But before we do that, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. If you are currently watching on X at the moment, make sure to jump over to our bio our link in the bio, where you can jump over to our YouTube channel and like and subscribe and check out all the content that's there. Now, Jude Bellingham and Trent Alexander Arnold are besties. We know that. We don't like it. It is what it is. We thought it'd help us when we were trying to sign Jude, and obviously Jordan Henderson put the moves on as well, and that kind of backfired. And Jude ended up going to Real Madrid. Now, albeit I call that a blessing in disguise, in my own personal opinion, because as good as a player as Jude is, his whole deal costs £500 million. And that's not something Liverpool were ever going to play for any player. It would completely scupper any wage structure that we had. His agent got £20 million. His dad got £20 million. And Jude got £20 million. So the sign-on bonus that he got from Real Madrid is the same amount of money that we paid for Dominic Szoboszlai. That's his signing bonus. There was no way we were paying that. On top of that, he was getting 400 grand a week. That's before bonuses and after tax. And they also fired 100 million quid at him. Now, I reckon we were willing to pay the 100 million quid, but I guarantee you we weren't willing to pay anything close to that level of a salary. But bygones are bygones. He's gone to Real Madrid. He's there. He's won trophies. Fair play to him. Well done him. He's still not liked by anybody, which is hilarious. But him and Trent are mates. And this has been a pressing matter since last summer, when obviously the charm might have begun to be put on then. Spencer, does it worry you that they are that pally and friendly, that it will sway Trent? Now, in saying that, it's been said by Mario Cortega, who's one of the biggest Real Madrid journalists and probably one of the most reliable, that he's putting the moves on him to get his move to the Bernabeu, but that it's unlikely to be a decisive factor in any deal. Do you reckon that is the case, or would it be a decisive factor that he gets to go and play with his mate in sunny Spain for 400 grand a week in good weather and sip Spanish wine? Like it's a promising prospect, realistically, when you look at it.
Yeah, hey, don't give him any ideas, man. Don't talk about how good it might be. But I mean, to me, it's like the talk about how like Jude is trying to put the moves on him. I read that more as like, imagine like you're in your hometown and you go off to a different university in a different, for us it'd be state or like a different country, you move to a different city. He's just trying to like gas up the place that he went to so that he doesn't look like an idiot for having left what people thought he should have done. I think that's more probably what he's doing, gassing up Madrid. In terms of like them being friends and that swaying Trent, I think he's got a lot of friends probably in Liverpool as well, considering he's been there his entire life. I think it probably I don't know if it's like a tiebreaker or something. I don't think it'd be that, but it's something that if Jude was not there, I think people would take the Real Madrid links a little less seriously. But for the purposes of what Trent and what he's going to make his decision on, I'm not sure that Jude really impacts that, because Jude went there without an Englishman to recruit him there. So I think as like a football decision, I don't think there's any impact with that.
No, I tend to agree, but obviously it always sort of picks at the back of your mind. It's like, well, his best mate's there. The prospect of being in your 20s and kicking a ball of air around for millions a week with your best mate in the sun and winning trophies and riding off into the sunset that way. It is promising for any player. But Hassan, as many times as Trent has said, it means more. And this is going to be really tested, because him saying that I want to be Liverpool's captain and it means more and everything, he now has a time whether to prove himself to be truthful to those words or a bit of a hypocrite. And personally, the way he's been performing this season and how Van Dijk has really sort of been a leader of leaders among men, I don't see him taking that captain's armband anytime soon until Van Dijk basically retires. Would you be of a similar opinion on the captaincy, first of all, and how do you feel about this sort of Jude-Trent bromance that may or may not sway him?
Yeah, first of all, at captaincy, I think it can be a bit similar when they gave it to Gerrard from Hupia, Hupia was a brilliant player after that as well. He's one of the players I really liked when he was here. He was without the armband, he was sort of a leader. It will be a transition, and that can be a factor for him to stay if they sit with Van Dijk and Slot and a transfer committee, and they say that you'll be given a really good contract with this clause that after this season or after the next season, we can give you the captaincy. It can be a really could be more attractive than going and playing with Jude, his mate. Jude, I think he's not a friend who's been with him for a long time. It's been a couple of seasons. They have developed this friendship. So I think his love for Liverpool supersede everything else. I think with Carvajal getting injured and the vacancy suddenly opening up at Real, so journalists are making up stories and with him at his contract situation. I think these things should be sorted out soon, so we can focus on the real thing, of playing well and winning trophies.
Yeah, that is basically it. Playing well and winning trophies is the way that it should go. Spencer, just I'll throw a question to you because obviously I mentioned it to Hassan there. Do you see Trent as future captain material? Because personally, at the moment, I don't. I don't see him as that at the moment, and I don't see a pathway to where he gets to that point because he just maybe it's just me this season, and maybe I'm just looking at it through possibly a little bit more of a biased lens. But he just doesn't seem to be exuding any sort of leadership qualities, and it's almost as if he's just coasting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Just because there's like a best player on a team does not mean that they're captain material. It just so happens that we are lucky with that with Van Dijk, where he is the best player on the pitch every time he walks out there, and he's also captain material. I played on plenty of teams where like the best player is like a vice captain that like walks out for the coin toss and like the pageantry, but when like the going gets tough, people look to a specific captain.
Yeah.
I don't know if Trent is or can be that person. Perhaps it's just a case where he could be, but he doesn't really need to be because it's Virgil Van Dijk. Like he'd probably be the captain for every single team in the world with the way that he plays and the mentality that he has. So I don't really know how much it says about Trent, but for the time being, I can't see him. It's definitely not going to overtake captaincy from Van Dijk.
Yeah, well, not even take over. I don't even see a pathway for him to reach it beyond Van Dijk. Van Dijk could retire, and I think they'd nearly give it to McAllister. Personally, I think Arne Slot would probably end up giving it to McAllister over Trent. He just, when you look at somebody and I know I hate to use the word because it's such a brain rot word that's been used by fucking millennials and Gen Z nowadays of aura. Like, when times get tough, you can literally, even before he was captain, and even when it was Jordan Henderson that was the captain, everybody could turn and vouch for Van Dijk. Konate is another shout as well, Paul. That's an amazing shout, the way that he stepped up. He could very easily too. Maybe it's just me and I just don't see it. I could be just really harsh on him, but I don't know. I just think his attitude fucking stinks. And
does he want to be captain?
He said, Trent has said that he wants to. Yeah, Trent has said multiple times, I envision myself as a Liverpool captain. And I'm kind of looking at him like, that's massive shoes to fill considering who came before you. For all Jordan Henderson's faults, when he was on his game, his communication and how he links the team, as you mentioned, Spencer, a glue guy. And as well, the best player on the pitch isn't usually the captain on the pitch. And Jordan Henderson was a great captain when he was here. Terrible player towards the end of it, but still a great captain and held us together. Virgil van Dijk just screamed, like you can see it in the players that are on the pitch. They would follow that man into war. I don't know if they'd do the same for Trent. And I don't know if it's maybe just an indifference within the camp, and it's that they're like, you probably have one foot out the door in Madrid. Why are we even listening to you? That kind of a way. It's a worrying thing. Now, he could easily turn it around and absolutely blitz the rest of the season. Last season, actually, he was very, very much of leadership quality. There was many games last season where he just took the game by the neck and said, we're not losing this game. Very Gerrard-esque. The game against Fulham, the free kick and then his game-winning goal. And I think he got an assist in that game as well. That game specifically speaks out to me because he willed us to win, and that's what a leader does. Similarly to how Van Dijk did it in the EFL Carabao Cup final. Van Dijk basically led a group of kids to 3 minutes within penalty shootout and won a game. It's that kind of thing that separates leaders over just standard big guys in a team. But I'm just going to have a quick look now and see about anything over on the Twitterverse, if there's anything that's going on at the moment. Thomas Tuchel, about to become England's new manager, apparently. That'll be hilarious because he'll basically throw everybody out. I'm just trying to have a look and see. Currently at the minute, Mo Salah obviously had a goal today as well, playing for Egypt. Great goal too. I'm just trying to have a look here and see is there anything else. Brennan Johnson scored for Wales. And, obviously this is great news. Well, I say great news. This is big news as well. Joel Matip has decided to retire from football following his leave on a free transfer from Liverpool, which is a bit sad to think about it that he's now gone. But Joel has left a lot of great memories with ourselves. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? There's really not, unfortunately. That's what you get for international break at the minute, I'm afraid. Currently at the moment, two Liverpool sides essentially are facing off. Hungary with Dominic Szoboszlai and the Netherlands with Cody Gakpo, Virgil van Dijk and Ryan Gravenberch are facing off in the Nations League at the moment. So that'll be an interesting game. Currently Van Dijk seems to be having a great game in that. But we are essentially, unfortunately his kiss to the camera was offside against United. Yeah, I get that. Like, he's still yet to score another goal. The next goal he scores, he's going to do it, but I reckon he might save that for a big game like a Man City or a Chelsea or an Arsenal if he bags a goal against one of them. It'd be beautiful if he does. But we are going to leave it there, guys, finishing up a little bit earlier than normal rather than hitting the hour mark, just because it's a fucking slow news day, unfortunately. We just make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure your notifications are on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. If you're currently watching on X at the moment, make sure to head over to our YouTube channel for lots more content. We're live from 7:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, and we also have our American stream, Star Stripes and Anfield Nights. It's on every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern or 2 a.m. British time. So make sure to stick around for that if you're around. We will be back again tomorrow from 7:30 p.m. UK time. Make sure you have your notifications on so that you don't miss out on that. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you guys again tomorrow.